Now, the Lagos state government says it has instituted investigations into the death of Dr. Vwaere Diaso, a medical officer that was undergoing housemanship at the Lagos State General Hospital, Odan. The tragic event occurred on Tuesday, August 1, 2023, after an elevator she took crashed. According to findings, the hospital elevator that killed the late Diaso crashed from the 10th floor to the ground floor. It was also gathered that the late doctor was rushed to the emergency ward of the hospital for treatment, but eventually died. A colleague of Diaso who craved anonymity told journalists that the elevator had malfunctioned several times before now. He also said that the hospital management was aware of the poor state of the elevator but failed to act. Now, he stated that since the elevator started malfunctioning, the staff of the hospital started reducing the number of people in it every time to avoid congestion. Well, a tweet from 2020 may help say it all. He says, we'll put up that tweet on our screen shortly. Now, that tweet basically described that elevator as a death trap. And that was in 2020. So that's to tell you that the elevator has been in a bad shape since 2020. And you know this. Well, I have with me in the studio, still with me in the studio, Nelson Ekujimi, social commentator. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Nelson, this looks like this also brings to fore the maintenance culture, or the lack of it, of Africans and Nigerians in this particular instance. What do you make of the fact that infrastructures are not paid attention to? They are not fixed when they ought to have been fixed. Why is that so?
Well, first and foremost, my condolence to the family of that young lady, medical doctor. I feel the pains of the family. I feel the pains of our relations as well as our colleagues and the society at large. It's a sad one. It's one that calls for introspection. But be that as it may God grant her soul eternal rest. It's very, very painful for the family to have, trained a young person up to that level, and her life is just terminated that way. It's unacceptable.
Just 2 weeks to the end of her housemanship.
Even if it is 10 years to the end of her housemanship, it's unacceptable the way her life was terminated. But be that as it may, I think it calls to question our attitude as a people. That until something breaks down completely, even our health, a lot of us, we engage in activities in which even our health sends us warning signals, and we ignore until we break down completely. You look at the way we maintain facilities here. So it's not far-fetched. If you cannot take care of your health or your being, then definitely you transfer it to everything around you. You talk about a facility like that, until there's a crack or it has consumed life, people will just be paying lip service to, maintaining it. You go on our roads in the other climes where one has traveled to. Everything has a lifespan. And immediately you are approaching the end of the lifespan of that thing or that instrument, common sense dictates that it should be changed. You don't have to wait until it breaks down completely and it causes a calamity like we have. So I think this should be, it's sad that we are using the human life as a wake-up call. It calls to question our attitude as a people to life. How do we take life? Because even as a human being, we have an expiry date, but we don't know. But at every point in time, ensure that you play your part, to be well and safe. Government constructs pedestrian bridges all over the place. But you see people running across the express road. When you, those are actions that shows how we take life. Somebody will be working somewhere, he will be given leave uh, opportunity, he or she will not take it. Oh, I want to work extra time. Maybe because you feel you want to earn an extra, income. But at the end of the day, when the repercussion of the activities you have subjected your body comes into play, whatever you have had, will disappear.
It's easy to lay the blame on the table of the people who
No, no,
do
no, no.
not.
I'm not laying the blame on the. I'm laying the blame on us, because even as I'm sitting down here, if I have that attitude, if I get into any position tomorrow, that's the same attitude I will exhibit. So it calls to question our values. That you get into your house, you put on your switch, you recognize that the switch has removed from the wall. Instead of you to call an expert to come and fix it,
Well,
you continue to say, okay, I'll manage it until one day somebody gets electrocuted. That's the way we behave,
well,
and it's not good.
some of us have the mantra of a stitch in time, saving nine.
That is
Some of
what
us
that is
do.
what we are taught.
Some yes, some don't. But in this case now, this is a government establishment, so the government cannot be exonerated from the blame,
Absolutely, absolutely.
because it's a hospital, and we know that hospitals are built in such a way that there's a
It's the
place.
staff quarters.
Well, there's a place for, you need to be able to move around freely. Now, um, now, as it is, doctors have even commenced their own strike uh, in general hospitals around Lagos. And also in River State, doctors in River State are also striking because they have an issue too. Their own strike is bordered on the abduction of a colleague. So the strike in the medical sector, uh, this is an avoidable thing.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, this is where it has got into. Now we're going to talk about if strike is the answer, because it seems like if government doesn't if people don't strike, government doesn't seem to listen. Why is it so?
I don't, it's also part of the culture of I don't care, our lackadaisical attitude to life, like I said earlier on. Because before people go on strike, there must have been issues. When you have an agreement, okay, I'm employing you to do X, Y, Z. The moment you are going outside of the agreement, no, you are looking for trouble. So people don't have to wait until things degenerate to the level that, like we said earlier on, that a stitch in time saves nine. The reason for these doctors going on strike is because no matter what level of strike they go into, don't also forget that strikes or civil disobedience also has its positive. And part of the positive of it is that it draws attention even beyond where you want it to be. People who you think won't, hear about the issue will also come in and start, making calls, seeking inquiries. So what the doctors are doing now is to ventilate their grievances. It is within their rights. I concede that to them. But on the part of, I also consider the fact that it has happened in the government establishment. So the government is liable for the loss of the life of
The government is liable.
the government is liable because it happened within their premises. It happened within the government establishment. But the government has done the right thing, which is to set up an inquiry committee to examine what caused the death. So we'll wait for that committee, because no matter what the committee comes up with, the fact that a life is lost in your privacy under the law, you are liable. It's difficult for you to exonerate yourself. But I want to concede that, let us, as much as we are grieving, we are angry. I want to appeal that our anger, we should, we should be circumspect with it. It's very painful. There's nobody that, could have been, related to this lady that even as distant as I am from her,
Sorry to
I'm pained.
interrupt your thoughts there. This is the tweet from 2020. The tweet reads: "The doctor's quarters at General Hospital Lagos has 10 floors. It has a non-functional elevator and no running water. Doctors who live on the 10th floor, including pregnant women, climb the stairs multiple times daily." And in this tweet, it also tagged
The former
Joke
commissioner.
Saolu and Professor Akin Abayomi. The date is even there, 2012, 12/01/2020. All right. Is it that nobody saw this, or nobody felt it was important enough to address?
From whom did this tweet come from?
A stakeholder, just somebody who uses the hospital, a doctor.
These are part of the evidence that have to be collated. From that tweet, the tweet said a non-functional elevator.
Commissioner of Health he copied them in that, and the governor's wife as
yes.
well.
If that elevator we all know the meaning of non-functional. I went to school. By my own understanding, when you say something is not functioning, it means it's not working. So you want to ask, if it's not working, are we saying the doctor who died is...
Maybe it was patched up. I mean, it's 10 floors, and you probably don't expect people to be exhausted.
No, you can't build in any climb. When you put up a building above 2 or 3 floors, you should have an elevator. You can't expect people to be climbing. Some people's health condition will not be able, to sustain them to do that. Some could have health complications arising from doing that. So I'm not exonerating, but what I'm saying here is that tweet has to be investigated. That is part of the evidences, materials that the committee will gather and look into. But what I'm saying is that if we are to take that tweet for a gospel truth, are we saying that a medical doctor will enter an elevator that is non-functional? The answer, I don't think the answer will be yes. But I want to leave it to the committee, the investigative committee, that will look into that. But what has happened is that it calls to question the level, our culture about maintaining facilities around us and even ourselves. I started with ourselves. Because when you are talking about government today, don't forget that government is made up of people. And these people are Nigerians. So if we have imbibed a wrong culture from home, like we say in Yoruba language, Ile Latin Keshorudi, that charity begins at home. Whatever values we exhibit in the larger society, we must have been, inculcated into those values from the home. And the principal agents that will do that are our parents. So if we have failed in our responsibility and I now become an adult, that failure in bringing me up with proper values of the society, I'll translate into the public service when I get there.
All right.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Now, once again, I'm going to ask you this question. Who should be held responsible, really? Is it the Lagos State government or the management of the hospital?
The management of the hospital is the Lagos State government. It's the Lagos State government public facility.
So it's one and the same.
It's one and the same. You cannot exonerate the management of the hospital from the Lagos State government. So in this case, the government is liable. The government now has to come out and prove what happened through the committee it has set up. But the mere fact that it happened within the premises of the hospital makes the hospital, culpable for a death.
Now, another fact from the incident is that when the elevator fell to the ground, it took rescue operation some time to get her out. And there are talks that probably if she had been brought out in good time, she might have been saved. How do you relate this to our response time?
Well, the truth about
and this is within the hospital.
Yes, the truth about it is that the response time of responders at times is not something cheery at all. And also, like I said earlier on, it has to do also with our own attitude as well. You drive on the road, an ambulance is coming behind, and it is blaring its siren. People will remain there. They will not give way. Security vehicle is coming, blaring siren. People will not give way. So in this case, when we blame our emergency responders, we should also talk to ourselves. Fire is burning in an environment. Fire service is coming. People will block the road and be demanding maybe tolls before they can have a passage. So we also need to talk to ourselves as much as we want to blame, because if the responders are coming and there's no way to get there, the responders don't have wings to fly. I hope we know that. We have talked about infrastructure. At times when we have security breaches in some environment and people say security personnel didn't arrive on time, the security personnel will come on the same road everybody is passing through. When the roads are not motorable, how will they be able to get there on time? So we need to tell ourselves some basic truth that government has a responsibility to put in place infrastructures that will make every office saddled with a responsibility to public service do its job optimally. Responders have to be trained, to respond immediately. Then we also have to provide the enabling environment. Because it's not even about responders alone. You go to offices, you go to banks. I'm standing in a queue for 10 minutes and nobody, the man at the desk there is not attending to anybody. And the next, you are standing and you are wondering what is happening, and nobody is telling you, oh, we have this problem, I'm doing this. We don't have the essence of public service the way we conduct ourselves. People want to be prodded to do what they are paid, what they are employed to do, which is, it all boils down to our attitude. I'll give you an example. There was a day I got to a bank and I met people on the queue. And I was on the queue like 5 minutes and everybody, and I asked somebody, what is happening? How can we get here and all of us are standing in this queue? The person in front of me said, she doesn't know. I now had to leave my position on the queue, go to the teller counter person. I said, please, what's the problem? You are not attending to anybody. He said, we have network problem. I said, if you have network problem, why can't you communicate so that if I have anything serious doing, I will leave immediately instead of me wasting my time. I said, for the way you have people are doing, the way you have conducted your business, it means you want to run this business aground. And I'm going to report you to the head office. Immediately, she went and called the manager or the supervisor. That one came. When they asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to, deposit. He said I should come and I said, no. I met people on this queue. You must attend to everybody. Why are you running this office like this? And that is why a lot of businesses are not functioning, because of the major problem. Like one of the things I've always advocated in my own public engagement is there's need to work on the orientation of us. Our orientation is very warped. We don't recognize that when you get into any office, your responsibility is first to do your job. Somebody is employed to do a job. For most of the day, will be on phone. When you call your relatives in other climes, he will tell you, please, I can't talk to you now, I'm in the office when I get home. But here somebody, while you are supposed to attend to a customer, you are busy doing something else. No, we must talk to ourselves.
Well, as it is, from your analysis, I think Nigerians are the ones to go out and make sure that things work. Nigerians will have to go to NNPCL to investigate.
Nigerians are the ones. Nigerians are the ones working in NNPCL. They are not. They are not
ghosts. Nigerians will have to go to the hospitals and the banks to also investigate.
No, what I'm saying is that wherever, it's not about Nigerians going there to investigate. I'm appealing to our conscience. That's what I'm doing this morning.
Now, there's a school of thought. I understand you. There's a school of thought that, okay, just to put this out there also, the hospital, it is said that the hospital didn't even have blood to give to her, blood to transfuse at the time, just to put it out there. Now, there's a school of thought that is clamoring for the privatization of general hospitals. Do you think that will be the solution to some of these Malay that we see?
I won't subscribe to that position, because we already have enough of private, uh, medical institutions if you want to. The public institutions, public health facilities exist for the public good, which comprises majorly of the poor. And if people are calling for the privatization, well, maybe we should have a private wing in there that if you can afford it, you get it, but it will not be as expensive or exorbitant as a private establishment, because being a private, private entity run within a public facility, you have some, some leverages. For example, the land, the building, maybe what you are bringing in is the facility. So in calculating your cost on in charges, you also make do that the state is, giving you some windows free. But be that as it may, I want to leave that to the Nigerians generally to let us debate this issue, because it has pros and cons.
Okay.
And part of the cons is that it will take health assessment beyond the pocket of the other man, because a lot of persons, as I sit down here, I tell you my best medical institution, to visit whenever I have ailment or when any of my family is the general, because that is where you get the specialists. That is where you get, people who have years of experience. And the beauty of it is that, unlike in the private hospital or private health institutions, whereby you attended to just one or two, in the public institutions, you attended to almost by 10, 15 medical doctors, depending on your visits. If you come at your next visitation, you see Dr. A. By the time you come the next one, it could be Dr. C. So they are comparing notes. So the best medical attention can be gotten from, I believe strongly, I'm of the opinion, because I'm a witness to that, can be gotten from the public, health institutions. So privatizing it, I don't think should be an option we should be looking at, because we already have enough private institutions, so people can run with their private. But if it is about the maintenance and what have you, like we have seen, it is for us to, at every point in time, to call on because we have a legislature, and part of the legislative responsibility is oversight functions on health. So you want to ask, what are legislators in the State House of Assembly, what are they doing? If facilities can, because the government makes budgets every year, for infrastructures. What is the state of infrastructures in the general hospitals? Do they have enough doctors? We need a lot. The hospital space, is it enough? At a point in time, you go to some public hospitals, patients were laid on bare floor where there are not enough beds. So it means we need to put up more structures, to accommodate. And when we are making budgetary provisions, what are those budgetary provisions on a yearly basis for? If Hospital A has 10 rooms, we should be conducting research and saying, okay, the population of this community has grown larger than this. This 10 rooms hospital should be upgraded to a 50-room hospital. So I think that the responsibility is for all of us. So, but most importantly, like I've just said, I want to appeal to our conscience that if you have taken up a job to do, please, for the sake of God and humanity, do it efficiently.
All right, thank you very much, Nelson Ekujimi, public affairs commentator, and our condolences go to the family of Dr. Vwaere, the late Dr. Vwaere Diaso. So I must say, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
We'll go on a break. When we come back, we have business, entertainment, and sports.